What's up, everyone? It's your boy DJ LS, and I'm back. I'm bringing you DJ LS and Friends, the video podcast. A year ago, we did the audio version of it. I had an amazing opportunity where I got to interview 4 of my friends. DJ Nino, Art Silva, Nemesis, and my boy DJ Cardi. It was an amazing opportunity where we got to learn their stories and we got to see how they overcame obstacles, hardships, and challenges, and how they ultimately became professional DJs. This year, we bring you the video podcast version. By doing the video podcast, you guys get to truly meet my friends. You get to see them and how they actually tell their stories. Their personalities, they're going to come right across the screen. So not only will you learn about them and truly get to meet them, but you're also going to make some new friends. Why? Because my friends are your friends. The whole point of this podcast is to give you a guiding light, a nugget of information, a little bit of inspiration, and maybe just get you one step closer to helping you achieve your own goals and dreams. Thank you for tuning in. I'm super excited to get started, and episode 1 is surely to not disappoint. So how about that? Let's go get started.
Floor. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. In the place to be.
Gerry, the Geenius. What's up, baby?
What's up, man?
Yo, I truly appreciate you. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be here today, to be a part of this podcast, this whole interview process.
Long time coming. We were planning for a minute.
Yeah, man, I've been trying. I know to everyone that we had done an interview before. We actually had featured Nino, Kid Nemesis, TJR Silva, and Cardi.
Right.
So we interviewed them, and people gave us such good feedback that I had to do this. And one of the people I wanted to eventually interview was you, without a doubt.
Thank you, man.
It's absolutely an honor and an amazing opportunity for me to actually even be here and do this interview with you. Let's let everybody know how we know each other. Like, I started at the Clevelander about 8.5 years. I'm going almost for 9 now.
Yeah.
Almost for 9 years. And when I started, I was wet behind the ears. I didn't know nothing. And that was like about 2009. So yeah, we're about to be 2018, almost 9 years already. And I started emceeing, and I remember the first time I saw you was with you and DJ LNR up in 1020 doing your video mixing, just messing around. I think you guys were just starting to dabble into video mixing. Yeah. And I was doing a promoters meeting, and we promoted for a while, and then eventually Rod Pratt, who my mentor and teacher, who helped me become an MC, man. We a guy we've shared together with so much, and he brought me into MC, and then I did a few shows with you.
Yeah, man.
What did you even think? What did you even think when you met me, man? Do you remember that?
I knew. I said, well, first of all, you're a music lover. I can tell. So it wasn't like you keep saying you didn't know anything. You knew your music. But nah, man. We worked great together. We still work great together. We still do our little thing when we get the chance. But when I saw you dabbling into the DJ world, I was like, okay, here we go. It's good. I was waiting for that to happen, and you took to it like, you know.
Nah, you know what's funny is I had already been DJing for a while.
Yeah.
And Rod is the one that for some reason thought I could talk on the mic.
Yeah.
And because I would do it from here and there from time to time at 1020. And then he threw me into the pit of wolves, and he said, go for it. I guess I did enough right.
Did it all right.
almost 9 years later.
Yeah.
We've done so much. We've worked in so many types of shows. We've been on TV together. I think I did the TO show with you once. We've done fashion shows. We've done through crazy Friday nights where I remember we had some amazing nights together while you DJ'd and I MC'd. Yeah. And one thing I always took from you, because I barely knew who I was working with, and I knew that Rod had always said, ask him about him. Because he was like, I want you to learn who you're actually working with. And I started asking around. I had asked Johnny Walker. I had asked Lester. And everybody was like, yeah, that's Gerry the Geenius from Full Force. And I was like, well, yeah, that's cool. Who's Full Force?
That's nice.
Because and that was on me, because I just didn't have the education musically and the exposure. But I started looking it up. And the more I read about it, I was thrown back, man. It's like, And you're such a humble human being that no one would ever know any different of all the things you have done. So today, I want people to know that. It is absolutely an honor, a blessing for me to be here, to be able to do this with you. But I want people to learn your story, learn how you got to be Gerry the Genius, and get to this point. So that's what we're going to dive into.
Hey, let's dive, man. First of all, Geenius. I spell it wrong for that particular reason. I am the furthest thing from a genius. So that's why it's Geenius. It's making fun of the whole fact that everybody puts the term genius into everything that's creative or whatever. So I just thought of that off the cuff when I delved back into the DJ thing.
Oh, wow.
And I started DJing back in like early 90s, man. Block parties and all that in Brooklyn.
So, well, let's start where you were born.
Born in Curacao, Trinidad, the West Indies, and got over here when I was like 4 or 5, something like that.
Wow.
So yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn. All my life lived in every part of New York. Went from Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island. Right before I was here in Florida, I was in New Jersey for like a minute. So, kind of New York is embedded.
So wow, you've lived in New York for most of your life.
Most of my life, yeah.
And you have a big family.
Yeah.
You have a couple cousins.
Yeah.
Do you have any brothers or siblings?
No brothers, all cousins.
So tell us about your cousins, who you guys have a very special bond with.
Yeah, the rest of full force. Closer cousins are our guitar player, Kurt, and Shy, that was his name in the group, our bass player. Those who I lived with. Come to find out, other cousins, Paul, Lou, and B, from the House Party movies, moved around the block to go. Kurt in Brooklyn. I was staying in Brooklyn for a while. My parents moved out to Long Island. They were doing their job, working and stuff. So I had to go to school in Brooklyn and stayed there at my aunt's house, which was where we kind of started the band thing. Just on, hey, what are we going to do?
So you guys, instead of going to play basketball or let's say do something you shouldn't be doing in the streets,
yeah, we got into a lot of those.
You guys were doing your garage? Where were you doing the
Yeah. We had a garage. We had a basement. The garage kind of held everything in the basement. One by one, we just kind of, I was like the little, only child kid, so I kind of had a little bad drum set that was like, a little keyboard thing I started playing, and we just kind of took to that. Meanwhile,
so that's how it morphed into.
Yeah. We did little neighborhood shows, and the production thing didn't come till way later. That was a manager of ours who was a schoolmate of Lou, Bow-Legged Lou, Steve Salem, no longer here with us. Rest in peace. And he came up with the idea. He's like, man, you guys are trying so hard, this and that. Labels are kind of, not feeling you guys. The band thing is kind of phasing out, in R&B, but why don't you guys start producing for, the people? I'm like, huh? Like, all right, we could try. Who do we do? How do we do that? You know what I mean? It's like, well, you guys are great at making up, music and this and that. And technology was changing right around then, drum machines, stuff like that. So we kind of followed suit. And the first production was spearheaded by the drummer, B. Met these guys, they were going to fight around the block called UTFO, and they were like little break dancers, Kango and Doc, and they had a third member and their DJ, and they were UTFO. We came up with Roxanne, that was like...
That sold millions.
Yeah, a bunch of answer records, and we were sitting there like, well, how did this happen, you know what I mean? But good idea, right time, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Same,
totally.
Lisa came not too long after, same thing. We had a song. B had an idea. I wonder if I take you home. Yeah, I need this girl to sing it, but I think.
Wait, at this point, you're doing all this, but what's your role in the group?
I'm the keyboard player. I just kind of stuck into that. I never thought I was that good, but I always played well enough by ear.
Why were you designated to the keyboard?
I kind of just did that. That was kind of like my thing. I took to the keyboards and kind of fell in love with, I could do a bass line. I could do melodies. I could do, So that kind of became my thing. And for some reason, the rest of the guys found their spots. You know what I mean? Bees on the drums. Kurt was good at guitar. She was the bass guy. So,
How old were you when you started?
Still in school, man. Still in elementary school.
So you've been exposed to music all your life.
Yeah, all
You've
my
done
life.
This,
Yeah. I'm
like,
talking
this is
like
in your blood now.
Yeah, I'm talking AM radio with my dad, watching him paint. Like I'm hearing the Beatles going, man, something about this is just cool. Earth, Wind, and Fire and all that stuff. But I never, I felt the impact, but I never knew like why that led me to play. Or, I took piano lessons, hated it. I wanted to be out causing trouble and playing, so I just kind of quit that. But I always felt I can hear something on the radio and kind of maybe play the melody of what I'm hearing, and it sounds right. You know what I mean? So I kind of knew I had an ear for it, and I went from there. Just the exposure back then in the '80s, it was like, that was we listened to the Rolling Stones, we listened to the funk bands down the street, Brass Construction, and all these different. So the funk was there, the rock was there, the pop music was there, Beatles, all that stuff. And I just kind of took to it, man. When I started DJing block parties, that's kind of what we did too. Disco was heavy back then, so you were in a park with a bunch of black and Hispanic kids, but then we are playing, the music was kind of disco based and breaks and all that stuff.
I watched the Get Down. Have you seen the Get Down on Netflix?
That was my joint, man. It took me back to that. You know what I mean? That was the essence of it.
I was so in love with that show because it's like you learn the roots of some of the music you play. Exactly. And like sometimes I'll DJ and I'll do shows and I know what songs are going to hit, but I don't truly know where that song originated. I don't have a connection to that song. You've lived it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Certain samples I hear, and I'm like, oh man, that's that joint. You know what I mean? And,
that's such an important part of history, especially with hip hop and the music, because it's like you say, it started with disco and it evolved. Then you added the MC, and then it became this entirely new thing that it started in Brooklyn.
Hip hop, man. I mean, there are different stories
of where it all originated.
The Bronx, is where we know it to start. But not gonna lie, that's what happened. Literally, the same time it hit in the Bronx, you had cats taking the train down and acting like they were our own boy Paul Anthony from the House Party. He did that. He heard Sonny Chiba and all these cats in a big room somewhere way uptown, like 125th Street. Hip hop, all that, the crowd participating and stuff. Came back to Brooklyn and was like, yo, guys, I discovered this thing. It's called rap. And he's at a party and he's doing this thing. We're like, wow, this is cool. Not knowing he was old enough to hang uptown and bring it back. But that's literally what happened. Just kind of this wave took over all of New York City at the same time. It was like, what is this that we're, Run DMC and, just literally cats rhyming and drums. Nothing, you know what I mean? That was it. And that was nuts.
So let's give everybody a little insight. How was your look back then? Because I've seen some pictures, baby. Dude, I've seen some pictures and you were...
Every once
you
in a while,
were pretty freaking amazing.
But
as far as your fashion choices and all that.
That was just us trying to be, honestly, think about it, right at that point, right at the point we started to get a little notoriety and do our little shows here and there, you had MTV, you had hair bands, you had Prince, you had Earth, Wind, and Fire, and all these were, when you look at them, that's kind of what made them start. You had, Michael Jackson is like, wow, it's outlandish, everything's kind of shiny. So we, as being kids from Brooklyn, we tried to not go all the way there, and when you look at hip-hop artists back then, Grandmaster Flash, same thing. They kind of did the leather thing. They tried to be street, but we're stars, so it can't be some stuff you buy down the street.
People would see it and they'd feel a certain way
about it. So we went that route, man. So you look at those pictures now, and I'm like, oh my God, what were we thinking? But that was the 80s. That was, everybody was trying to be,
Totally. I think we're going to take a quick break.
Go out front, Gina. Nah, man, you guys go have a ball.
Why? You never wanted to?
I was just always like a...
Shy.
Yeah.
We're back up, guys.
Okay. So we got to the 80s.
Yeah.
You've now been exposed to this new culture, this new environment. You are now the keyboard player of the group. So how do you guys come to conclude that the name of the group is going to be what the name is?
I think that was Bow-Legged Lou. I think it was just kind of like, what are we? Yeah, what are we? We're unstoppable. We're something. full force. We come with whatever. we were just trying to be.
It might sound corny, but I love to hear the stories of how guys become DJs, how a group gets his name, or how an artist might decide on what they want to call themselves. Yeah. So I think it's so funny that you guys are coming full force.
I know. The nicknames were a whole other. I don't even know how that morphed into. I was the youngest, so they called me Baby Gerry, and then that stuck in the worst way possible. It got to the point where we would be doing shows, and there'd be teddy bears, and I used to have if you still, those pictures. I hope you never see. There was a baby bottle on the keyboard rig, and teddy bears, and backstage, girls would have it would get crazy.
Wow!
So we all had these little monikers that were bow-legged Lou's, him, and Paul Anthony started doing the thing with the headband and the workout. Like every show, he would do pretty much a strip show. He would tear off his shirts.
But it was fun. People were swallowing and eating it up.
Responded. We knew, like I said, for some reason we sat back and looked at everything that was going on in the music industry. Back then, you could kind of do that objectively and say, all right, well, what can make us come on? It wasn't like branding nowadays where you kind of find your thing and you throw it out on the internet and see if it's there. It was really more like, all right, let's try this and see if people respond well. If it doesn't work, we'll stop doing that. You know what I mean? And that was kind of it, you know what I mean? So
you guys hook up with UTFO.
Mm-hmm.
You guys help write Roxanne.
Yeah.
And your life changes.
Yeah.
I would say, right?
Yeah, pretty much, man. It was like, how did this happen? How did it catch on? Why did kids feel better? Like I said, that was kind of hip-hop back in the day. We went back to basics. We did this record that literally changed. We listen to Roxanne, it changes beats 3 times in the song. For each guy that rapped, there was a different breakbeat going on, and that was B's idea, and I guess that hadn't been done, so
which was kind of crazy.
Stuff, that kind of stuff.
So even brainstorming together as a group, we're talking 6 people, right?
Yeah.
There had to be some clashes.
All the time, man. But once again, we kind of each found our role. Later on in the whole process, B, the same guy that spearheaded Roxanne, became the after guy. He would show up literally at like 2-3 in the morning after we're all dead listening, and then he'd go, "Oh, why is that doing that?" We go, "B, what are you talking about?" The drum, right? Yeah. And then we literally have to spend another hour doing something but we respected that because his ears would be fresh. He'd come from, he just came in from somewhere, a club or somewhere, and he'd be like, "I think this should." So we kind of all had our thing. Shy, our bass player, became our engineer. He kind of got into everything, record-wise, and we literally found our roles magically. I don't even know how to explain it. So,
wow. So, and then it takes off, and you start to live this artist lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
The lifestyle of an artist who's now traveling, getting baby bottles at different concerts. And girls left and right. Yeah. Life on the road, right? You guys travel. So, name a few places you've been to.
Yeah, a lot of states, everywhere. Georgia, and as far as went up to Germany, went out of the country a couple times.
They were vibing with you guys in Germany.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a weird. That's always a weird thing. I'm sure that's weird for everybody.
Oh no, totally.
Like people don't even speak our language. How did they?
How would they find your music? Now I want to read to everybody just a synopsis of some of the people you, along with Full Force, have worked with throughout your years, through all these years. Full Force has also had the honor and distinction of producing and performing on the last 2 top 5 R&B hit singles by James Brown. According to Billboard magazine R&B charts, the single Unreal peaked at number 2, and the single Static reached number 5. Full Force has received many gold and platinum record plaques resulting from their work with artists such as Rihanna, Justin Timberlake, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Lil' Kim, Backstreet Boys, Black Eyed Peas, Fergie, Bob Dylan, Anthrax, Usher, Nicki Minaj, Louis Starr, Hall & Oates, Method Man, Dougie Fresh, Houdini, Scarface, Kobe O'Donis, Nina Sky, Patti LaBelle, The Brat, Ashanti, Brick and Lace, Jasmine Guy, Fat Joe, Raekwon, BB & King, Gerald Levert, Genuine, Wanda D, Siamese, Cheryl Pepsi Riley, Dr. Ice, Isaac Hayes, George Duke, Najee, Samantha Fox, Allure, Naturi Nathan, Force MDs, Montel Jordan, Kevin Edmond, I'm running out of breath, Melissa Morgan, Vesta, Regina Bell, Nile Rodgers, Bobby Humphrey, The Floaters, LaToya Jackson, Ex-Girlfriend, and the Weather Girls, M2M, Howard Hewitt, and Philip Bailey.
It sounds like a lot.
You haven't
but
done
I got an explanation.
Oh man.
No, it sounds like a lot of those were literally just writing for a lot. Some of those were features on certain projects we did, like the Black Eyed Peas. We were in the studio, but it was literally just because they took the Lisa hook and put it into what's the record? Funk. What's the one? Can't remember the name of it. Yeah, that one. And they, but like that, stuff like that. People would use stuff we did, and then
Who would you say out of all these artists that we've named, maybe they weren't even included in that? Would you say is the biggest artist you got the opportunity to work with, where you say you made the most impact for that artist in the music that they produced and put out?
That's a tricky one because I guess James Brown, he's a legend.
Yo.
So just the honor to we were like, all right, well, when we got hired to do it was kind of like, well, what do you do with James Brown? And we just kind of went back to what we figured a James Brown record might sound like. We literally kind of resampled himself. And he took his drums, kind of made
How
records.
was he to work with? Was he
nuts? It was insane. It was like, it's too many stories.
All right, so let's say you walk into studio. Is he someone who gets there first or last? Is he?
It varied, but he was. And I'm not gonna lie, we're not gonna sugarcoat it. At that point was when whatever he was on was at its height. Everybody made fun of it. That was when the whole car chase thing happened. Not too long after that. And Eddie Murphy always had a joke. He's like, yo, fucked him up. Right after he got out of the studio, there he was zooming down the street and cops chasing him. But no, he was on some. But we had to call him Mr. Brown. Nobody calls him James. And he would walk in with these big story we had. He like walks in with the yellow shades, and we're all like, wow, Mr. Brown's so good to me. He's like, fellas, I got on yellow shades, but I'm seeing blue. and from that moment on, we literally were like, we tell our engineers, yo, just keep the mic on, because he's going to say magical shit all the way.
Yeah.
And it was literally like that. Every day he came in, it was like some new crazy, he's sitting there talking. And so, Mr. Brown, so what we're going to do with this song is, and he'd break into a split for no apparent reason. Just do his thing, get back up, just had to see if he still got it. And we're like, wow. Yeah, and that was when it would hit us like, you believe this shit we're doing right now?
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty, it was insane.
So that was an impactful artist to have worked with.
I mean, to us, and we worked with Patti LaBelle, and these are incredible. These are people that were like flawless. They get behind a mic and we're like, she's like, how's that, guys? And we're like, it's one take, and she's like, her voice is just, Philip Bailey.
Pure talent.
Yeah, man. It was just like, it was amazing for us to see them do what they do and us be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Then you had the Backstreet Boys situation. We got lucky with that one.
Yes, girls. He said Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, Backstreet Boys. No, that was, quick story, that was a lucky situation. We were doing Samantha Fox, who was a UK artist from on Jive Records. The president asked us to come in, and they were like, look at something. I want you to see what's going on here. And it was these guys on a bus.
Not discovered yet, or had they already been?
Where they were, I guess. We didn't know where they were from. We just saw the Beatles happen. We just saw guys hiding on a bus and girls literally rocking this bus trying to get in. We were like, who is that? And he's like, they're from out there. And he's like, no, they're from Orlando. And I was like, huh? He said, that's the problem. We can't break them over here for some reason. I don't know what we're about to do that now. So, if you guys want to be a part of it. And we were like, okay. And we were lucky to be, Transcon just happened to be Lou. I can't remember that guy's name. Know that guy's name? Can't remember. Rest in peace. He's gone now too. But he started this company that kind of, Transcontinental was almost like a boot camp for pop artists. And we got there and didn't believe what we saw. It was like what, they did back in Motown. So he literally had NSYNC, Brittany, all these kids.
It was a farm system.
Yeah. Churning them out, like literally doing what we're doing. They had cameras, they had a room, a media room. He's like, what does that do? Oh, but they just stay here for an hour and practice interview. And we're like, really? Yeah, they just stay in front of angles of the camera, and we're like, wow. But like that's how serious they took it, and that was the Backstreet Boys.
What an amazing experience to have been a part of that. There's so many people that got touched by their music internationally.
It's amazing,
and it's got to be transcendental to feel that you were a part of all of it.
That was pretty nuts.
So we're here, like we could talk for days about Full Force. And there's a special documentary for anybody who really wants to learn about Full Force. I think it was on
TV One,
TV
Unsung.
One.
It's called
Unsung, and they could look it up, and you will learn the complete story about Full Force. I watched it. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I think I texted you after, and I told you, please don't stop being my friend. It's amazing that I got the opportunity to say what's up to you. But there's been a transformation in Gerry, right? So Gerry was a part of Full Force, but then Gerry the Geenius. Now, were you the Geenius while being a part of Full Force, or did the Geenius come from somewhere?
Sorta, which is strange. There was a poll going on. We would practice for shows, and the rest of the guys would get mad because when they came down to the basement to practice for shows, me and my two cousins were there practicing, spinning back good times and switching off
records.
Yeah, because we wanted to be these cool on the block DJs and that was always a part of our existence. And I think honestly, that coincided with us creating music. We kind of had this love how that instant gratification when
you play the
run
right
a record
song.
and you see the crowd and you're like, wow. So that kind of never left, man. It left for a minute because of production, but I moved to Florida to be closer to my parents later on, and it was kind of like, hey, what am I going to do to pass the time? Maybe I can revisit that. And I started getting back into it before I moved a little bit. Little CDJs, I'm like, oh, that's new technology. I don't know. But yeah, when I got out here, man, I came as on vacation at the Clevelander, and rode by, and I think Eleanor was DJing. I heard like Michael Jackson, then I heard Bon Jovi, and then I heard like Night Shift. I was like, whatever it is, I want to work in there, because for you to be able to
to play all the genres.
I said that's what I want to do. I kind of didn't, the whole one-dimensional thing. It was cool. I loved New York house music, classic house stuff, a lot of Chicago stuff, but I never was like, oh, I'm going to be that kind of DJ. And honestly, sometimes that works out better for a lot of these.
Of course.
A lot of these cats are making money,
yes.
Around the world and stuck in their job. But I just kind of wanted to be the good time, spin everything kind of cat. And the Clevelander,
open up
literally, man, I keep saying it over and over. It's like, yeah, you think the Clevelander had, any impact on how you DJ? And I'm like, definitely did.
Of course.
Definitely did. It made me a way better DJ. It made me appreciate every genre, and the fact that 20-something is going to walk in right after this 50-year-old guy, and we're trying to navigate.
So there, as a DJ, you learn to broaden your range.
Yeah,
because I know years ago DJs were very one lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
It used to either be hip hop, used to be house, freestyle, or Latin.
Yeah, open format was not even a term.
No, it wasn't a concept. Guys like DJ AM that helped make it a mainstream idea. Then brought that, and South Florida obviously being what South Florida was, and in the years we're talking about the late 90s, or we're talking late 90s at this point. So late 90s, South Beach was where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
So you've been a part of that entire environment, that entire process. We're going to take a break before we even go further, and I'm going to hit you with some things, just because I want people to kind of know a little more about you without having to just hear the stories. And I call this segment, we're going to do Rapid Fire. So Rapid Fire is real easy. I'm going to give you an artist name, and I want you in one word to give me what you think of that artist. Now, if you want to tell me a little bit more about that person, feel free. Express yourself. So here we go. Rapid Fire. Our first artist, Jay-Z.
Wow. Jay-Z. He's iconic. He's hip-hop for a minute when you think about it. So
iconic.
Yeah.
I love it. Kanye West.
Oh. He is, man. He's like, can't even come up with a word. I'm trying to bring in his. I'm trying to pay tribute to his strangeness, which is what makes him hot, man. He's always come from a different lane, man. He's left.
Totally.
He's left the center.
Okay, there we go. There's no real word to it. There's hard to
how
you can't encapsulate Kanye West. Kim Kardashian.
Wow. Hey, she's a gangster. Yo,
you are the first person that has ever named Kim Kardashian to be a gangster.
I gotta give it to her.
It's special.
For you to flip, you being on a sex tape, and all of a sudden you got your whole family, in Forbes magazine. To watch that happen.
Gangster.
Some people call it ridiculous, but
we're gonna call her gangster today. That is awesome. Eminem.
Oh man. Some people gonna get mad. I don't know. Lyrically untouchable, man.
Lyrically untouchable.
Yeah, even some of the recent things.
Yes.
I'm just like, dude always surprises you.
That's awesome. Lyrically untouchable. I like that one. Here I'm gonna give you 3 names. So whatever you think about these 3 names, feel free to say this. These 3 names are Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi, and Lil Pump.
Oh man.
3 contemporary artists
Lils.
right now.
The 3 Lils.
What do you think when you hear those 3 names?
The new school. I like Lil Uzi. I like, once again, I give them all props for their hook writing ability. They come up with these quirky, memorable,
Lil Yachty labels it as bubblegum rap.
Yeah. I can't front. I heard something about it. I was driving and I heard something about a pizza and a pepperoni. And I was like, oh, okay. But like I said, some of these cats, once again, they're hooks. You hear these, and just the fact that, it wasn't what was the broccoli record, and when he gets on that, and I heard he had something to do with the hook. It's kind of like, when you see it, I laugh because sometimes when I DJ, they'll laugh at me. I put on the theme from Sesame Street, right, and I go into that because for some reason that's literally what some of the new stuff reminds me of, and it's like for them to be able to flip, things that normally won't be considered hip hop to people or rough or rugged,
to give their own look into how they feel.
There's talent. There's talent in that.
No, it's just like there's talent in the DJ who can play Sesame Street while dropping Lil Yachty. So make sure if you're a DJ out there, man, figure out how to do that, and everybody's gonna think you're absolutely amazing. Our next name, Kevin Hart.
Oh man, it's like next school of Eddie Murphy, man. He's like the new,
The new Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to stop right now.
Kardashian's a gangster.
Yo, the first man to label her as a gangster.
It's like,
truly.
Half the time I see her, I'm trying to diss, but I'm like, I don't believe how far this has gotten, man.
No, yeah. So we got Kevin Hart, the next Eddie Murphy. Okay.
No, Eddie doesn't matter.
Hey, we gonna hate. Yeah. Hopefully, Eddie, if you're watching, thank you, sir, for watching.
Went to school with Eddie.
Take it easy. You went to school with Eddie Murphy?
That's how old I am, dog. He was 2 years, a year and a half better in Roosevelt High School in Long Island, man.
Was he funny back then?
All the time. There's a picture of us floating around. So we went to the prom together.
Oh, that's funny.
The bad tuxedos on.
Oh man, what a cool experience, bro. We're gonna now do our next person. This person, again, anything you think of. Beyonce.
Queen Bee. She's the Diana Ross of this.
Diana Ross of our generation.
Definitely. Just her performance, her work ethic,
Wow, that's a huge accolade to be given. Future. Great writer.
Yeah, I kind of like. I respect once again his ability to take that auto-tune and do these melodies.
He's a very intelligent person. Let me tell you, I've seen a few interviews with him, and
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he definitely does. Very intelligent. All right, so the last one that I'm going to give you.
By the way, Future got Songwriter of the Year from BMI.
Oh shit, he did.
BMI Awards this year.
See, ain't that something? Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
He's never written anything down.
Wow.
Wow. All right, so our last and final one, the very popular, the one that women all love right now, Cardi B.
Like I said, she's funny. She's the new school of, of female hip hop. I mean, Nicki's there. They do songs together, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll
all right,
see.
if you were in a room stuck and you had to pick one of the two, Nicki or Cardi B, who you ride with?
Sorry, I'm Nicki.
Nicki all day.
Nicki.
Awesome. So that was rapid fire, and I think the last thing we finished was where you were now becoming a DJ at the Clevelander. You have now seen what the Clevelander's all about, and now you're DJing. So this is how many years after Full Force?
Many years. We still do production in and out, different things. We still do an occasional old school show in some remote town somewhere every once in a while. But so we're still doing our thing. But I moved out here, I think 05, 06, officially. And I think that's when I started working at the Clevelander. So I'd say, a good 5-6 years after.
After the group, after everything you guys had?
Yeah, I think like 2000 was kind of like,
Now that's got to be tough, right? Because now you went from artist, performer to DJ guy, right? To being this guy that just does DJing.
Yeah.
How was that as your identity? How did you feel? Did you feel that you were just a different person now, or this was just a new step in your career? What did you feel happened at that point?
It was literally, once again, I moved pretty much, 9/11 had a little effect. The energy in New York was really scary at that point. I was living in Jersey, right across from the towers, watched them fall. So yeah, it freaked me out a little bit. And at the same point, I was like, well, parents are getting up there in age. I'm gonna go hang out with them in Florida. So it was more about that. It was more like I can continue doing production and doing whatever out here. And like I said, kind of fell back into the DJ thing. Started working with the Cleveland. It was cool. I didn't miss the touring and I was a little older. Yeah, it was more like, all right, this is the thing I love doing. Still close to the music. You know what I mean? It might aid me in the whole new school of production, which was definitely beginning to be like, oh, this is different. Everybody's doing it different now. Yeah. No more analog tape and no more, So there was that. And so it was more like a segue. It was more like a additive to whatever,
Yeah, they one leg supported the other, and it allowed you to have a smoother transition. Now, the reason I say that is I want anybody who's watching to know that, it doesn't matter at what point in your life you decide that that's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Some DJs sometimes feel that if they didn't start super young, then there might be no opportunity. They're going to fall behind on the curve. Yeah. And I think there's so many different types of DJs that exist that nowadays it's just about finding enough people that like what you do.
Exactly.
And you've been doing this now, DJing. How many years would you say you've been professionally DJing now? So we're talking about 06. We're talking until now. We're talking about
late
16. No, even before that, right? So over 20 years.
Yeah.
So like for over 20 years, you've been doing the DJ role. What do you think has been the biggest challenge you've been faced with in your career?
On the DJ level, it's always weird. Kind of like the production level too. You're creating something. You're trying to convey your style, your story, the stuff you like, and trying to get that across to a crowd that maybe isn't on the same page. You know what I mean? So hardcore hip hop or new school hip hop, and there you are trying to educate at some point, and just kind of give them a little bit more. Sometimes it's not as well received. So there's always a worry factor. You see some cats run on, and even if they're an opening DJ, they're throwing on every new thing that and a lot of old school cats don't appreciate that. But it's kind of like you know, DJing ain't something you should be scared of doing. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, yo, man,
I call it an instrument, and I've come to realize this because I was very. I used to always pay attention to others and criticize myself comparing to them. When I've heard your sets are very unique. A lot of kids nowadays, or the younger generation, will hear a song and we're like, "Oh man, that song was dope," but then we have no idea that the sample we just heard was from an early 70s song, an early 60s song, a throwback joint. And what's happening now, we got the old 90s schools joints that are being resampled, that our newer generations hearing, and they're like, oh my God. You know what's the craziest thing to show you the gap that I think is happening? I've heard people on Twitter when Paul McCartney, Kanye West, and I think Rihanna came out with that song, that all these kids saw and started tweeting and said, hey, that guy with the guitar, he is so lucky Kanye's putting him on.
It's amazing. That's great.
And they're talking about Paul McCartney.
Amazing, man.
So it goes to show you the gap that it just starts to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand what you mean on the concept of being able to deliver something that you know musically has so much depth in it versus just being a contemporary song that people may not understand what's really going on there. So in that process, what advice would you offer an aspiring DJ that's watching you right now who says, wow, like I have to face these challenges. How do I do me? What advice would you give on whatever it is that you feel could help somebody right now as a DJ?
I don't know. I'd say as a DJ, the focus is on you. We all, whether we like the show or not, we all get nervous. We all get a little like, all right, how's this going to be received? But you still have to try to convey that fearless leader kind of, you know what I'm saying? I front when I'm up there. I'm a shy cat. I don't like the spotlight. But when I'm spinning records, it's more like,
you play the role.
Yeah, watch me. And I know you might not want to go there. You might not think you want to go there. But watch what happens when and that's the attitude you got to take. Because a lot of it is just good music. It's good music. These kids literally are hearing their parents play. They're hearing it in the car. They're not paying attention to it. But in a club setting, a lot of the older stuff, it's movement music. It makes people move a certain way. You see certain reactions. And that's been happening for years. Just like the new school. You know what I mean? You got a lot of old folks that think, oh, that hip-hop. They hear it, they watch the kids bounce, they're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You know, it's all music, man. So it's all music. It's all relative. It's all how people perceive it. It's all memories and good times. And
you're correlating it with what you're giving it emotion. You're giving it purpose. Yeah. So it's like, for any DJ out there listening and watching right now, that's a very important message. Like when you do a set and you're performing in front of someone, even if it's two people, I've seen you just go in. There's been at the Cleveland there's nights that there's nobody really there. And you'll still deliver a set that's unique, that's it's got a meaning behind it. You're trying to do something with your set. So that's something important that I think anyone who's watching should definitely learn. And as when you're putting your sets together or you're delivering in a show, you play the part, play your role. You're the guy up there. You're the orchestrator. You're the one in charge and in power of how that emotion is going to be delivered and not. Now we're gonna take a quick break. We're almost done. We've already learned a lot, but I want you to tell me more. So this segment is called Tell Me More. All right. So I'm gonna ask you a quick question. These should be simple answers. You want to go more into it? Feel free. What color describes you best?
Yikes. Interesting. Wow. Gray.
Gray. All right. Hey, it's your
gray area, man.
Okay, there you go. We're gonna put you on Match.com. Don't worry, that's all. Outside of music, what's your favorite hobby?
Porn.
No. Oh, okay. There you go. Is that we're gonna go with porn?
Hey, I'll go with porn.
For those that don't know, Gerry's the official Exotica DJ who's traveled all over the U.S. doing their shows for so many years. He's worked with friends like Dan Diamond and Jordan, our MC. So That's why he's part of the industry. He knows a lot of people. I know you have a lot of friends, and you've worked with that industry. Yeah. It's a huge industry. It's a
big industry.
Yeah, it might be taboo for some, but it's the reality of an industry.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, good. All right,
I love music.
There you go, ladies. What's your zodiac sign?
I am Taurus.
Taurus.
Some people say
I know nothing about Taurus.
It's April 20th, so I've been told I'm Aries and Taurus. I think it's one of those cusp things. So
well, there you go, Taurus. All right, favorite food while traveling?
Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. And I gotta.
Except on Sundays.
Yeah. And I'm trying to change that. For those, I don't know if people saw my recent post, but I'm trying to do the vegan thing.
Okay.
But
no, that's really good.
I don't know how that's
I've
gonna
made
work
the
out.
effort. It's a process. You gotta give it time. You can't expect to flip your diet like that.
Exactly.
But Chick-fil-A is a good place to start. Favorite TV show?
Oof. That's a hard one.
Could be an old school one that you always loved, or one you like right now.
Power.
Power. I love Power.
Yeah, I love Power.
Great show. All right, there you go. Power. Would you rather go to a beach, a park, or a music studio? Studio. All right, just making sure. Favorite artist of all time?
Well, if I had to, Prince.
Prince.
Yeah, it had the most effect.
Awesome. Prince. Cats or dogs?
Both, but I'm a dog person.
More of a dog person. Okay. New York or Miami?
You're gonna get me thrown out. You can literally get me kicked out of Miami. But what's weird? I keep saying it, man. I can't. New York. I spent most of my life there. I always say I think I'm a New Yorker until until I die.
How do you identify yourself? I've been born in Colombia but raised in Miami, but I feel like I'm a Miami guy. I don't identify with any other city. So how do you feel? Do you feel you're a New Yorker down to your bones, or?
I hate to say, but I think so, only because I'm not. If I was like doing Miami things on the regular, I would probably, you know what I mean? I since I've been here, I don't think I've fully Miami. You know what I mean?
So there you go.
So that's the only reason I'm saying I love the place. I love the weather. I love the people. My brain's at ease here, but New York has an energy that you can't. Yeah.
Last one. Would you rather produce or DJ?
Rough. Wow. Produce.
Yeah. It's in you. It's. I think it's something that you post up on Facebook, and I see it all the time. You post up videos of productions you're making and stuff like that. And I think that's what resonates with you so much more. Yeah. Even though DJing is just, I think, as important to you as the producing. So, we've done so much and we've talked a lot already, and we're gonna kind of bring it to a close. And before we do that, I just want people to, number one, know who you are, and they've gotten a taste of that today. They've learned something about you, and we're also going to feature a mix from you, a 30-minute mix that's going to have your style, your vibe, and people are going to get to hear that, and they're going to get to either like it, love it, and connect with you. So if they want to connect with you, how can I connect with you? On Facebook, how do I get to you? What are you under?
Unfortunately, the name thing, I'm under Gerry Charles now, which is my real name. On Instagram, it's Geenius Music with 2 E's, G-E.
There you go, Geenius Music with 2 E's.
Yeah, and
before we end out everything, where is Geenius going next? What's next for Gerry the Geenius? Are you working on a project? Are you working on new music? What is next for 2018, which is coming?
I know. Some changes. Probably still doing both production, DJing, but leaning on the production side, doing a lot of projects, doing some work with some writers in LA right now. Awesome. And might take me out there for a minute. But
so you're excited about 2018?
Yeah. I think it's gonna be, I'm trying to reinvent the wheel, let's say. No, yeah.
I think that's important. I think we all get to points where we have to either reinvent, change, or evolve.
Exactly.
And if you don't change and evolve, then you dissolve and you get left behind. Gerry, I can't thank you enough. Before we go, I want to give you something special. A friend of mine that you know, our friend Siege.
Yeah.
You know Siege, right? So our friend Siege has made us a very special shirt, as you can see right here. Shout out to my boy Siege. Siege Inc. is the fashion line. And you can look it up, Fashion Cure or Siege Inc. And you can look him up at My Fashion Cure on Instagram. And he hand stitched this. He did all this by hand from start. It has his label on it, which is absolutely beautiful. As you can see right there, that's his label, his tag, special made. There we go. Siege Inc. Fashion Cure. And it's a DJLS and Friends shirt. Man. So thank you, Gerry, so much.
I'm proud to be down.
How about that? So thank you to Siege. Thank you to Silva, Kid Nemesis for the studio. Make sure you guys check it out. Offset Studio. This is where you want to be recording. If you got an artist or you got something you want to do in a studio and you live in Miami or you want to come out here, make sure you hit us up and I'll get you guys connected. Thank you so much for being a part of DJLS and Friends, the video podcast. Woo. Gerry the Geenius. We're going to visit with you again later on in 2018, see where you're at, baby.
Definitely,
truly appreciate
Thank
you.
guys.
Thank you for tuning in. It's your boy DJLS signing off. Peace. Yep. Yeah. What's up, everyone? It's your boy DJLS bringing you another episode of DJLS and Friends, the video podcast. This special episode was brought to you by Offset Studio. It's my boy's studio, and they were nice enough to hook us up and let us use the studio. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you my man, Avery, the man in charge of the studio today and helping us out. Avery, if somebody wants to reach out to you guys and get in touch with Offset Studio, how do they hit you guys up?
You guys can hit us up on Instagram at offset_studio or at myself at Avery Castle. Just send us a DM and we'll hook you up.
Avery Castle. I want you guys to remember that name. You're not only the producer and the man managing the studio, you're managing your own career. You're producing your own music, writing your own songs. Tell people how can they reach you if they want to start listening to you and check you out.
Instagram is a great start. Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, all the major platforms.
And have you recorded most of your stuff right here in the studio?
For the past year, everything has been right here.
Wow.
100%.
Wow. So there you have it. You got Avery, upcoming artist who's doing his own music right here. If you got an artist, if you got a friend, and you need a studio, come check us out. My boy Avery's going to take care of you. You might even collab together on a song. You never know. Thank you for tuning in to your boy DJLS and Friends. It's Offset Studio, baby. Right here. Thank you.